I don't care how we win. I don't care how we win, as long as we win. And we do everything we can do to be able to win. The Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts used to say this when the team was not performing well, and either way they were winning. But that was not the case for the Eagles' championship victory. The 1X Super Bowl winning team crushed the Washington Commanders in a 55-23 game. The real showman of the contest was Jalen Hurts. His performance in the NFC Championship was so great that a former NFL legend has warned 31 franchises while talking about the Eagles' jersey number 1. Former NFL tight end Greg Olsen was on the Colin Cowherd show and discussed how the Eagles have evolved to such terrific plays. Analyzing the quarterback and offensive line, Olsen said, "I remember for years we ran a lot of quarterback sneaks. Now we didn't get everybody up there behind them to push. How we used to do it is different from Philly. Philly has really kind of revolutionized that no one does it as good as them." Olsen added, "I think these other teams in the league have seen Philadelphia would be able to say, it doesn't matter if you bring in 50 players. You can line up the entire team, and they are going to get 98% clip. It's not just the case with everybody." The former legend was so confident in Jalen Hurts' offense that they could score a touchdown no matter what. And we have seen Jalen Hurts pounding a touchdown on the Commanders in the previous game, even when he had a knee injury. Touching on his offensive players, Saquon Barkley's 2 wild touchdowns helped the team receive a major leap in the first quarter itself. Even before their wildcard game, the Packers' HC Matt LaFleur had said, "They own the line of scrimmage," and also warned teams that if Saquon Barkley gets even a narrow gap, other RBs would run 20 yards, but he would run 80 yards. Fans have witnessed Barkley's 60-yard TD, so for the upcoming game, the Chiefs' defensive line has to be packed to stop Saquon. They will lose the game even in the first half if they fail. But Jalen Hurts' squad is fully ready. But before we move towards New Orleans, Jalen Hurts' comment on HC Nick Sirianni has started a debate. The 53-year-old head coach has also replied to Hurts' straitjacket comment. After the Eagles' victory in the championship game, Jalen Hurts was asked about HC Nick Sirianni's role in his outstanding plays. And everyone remained shocked when the starting QB said, "He's done a great job. He's done a great job. I guess he let me out of my straitjacket a little bit today." Jalen Hurts scored 1 touchdown while completing 20 out of 28 passes. That means his completion percentage was 71.4%, and his QBR rating was a staggering 72.3. Fans criticized Hurts when he couldn't complete throws in the divisional round where his QBR was around 64. So, Jalen Hurts took a direct shot at Sirianni when he said the above straitjacket comment. Replying to it, Sirianni played it down and somehow answered a question by smirking. HC said, "I think he was having fun after the game. We've been winning a couple of different ways this year. I think he's just having fun after the game." He also said, "So, again, I thought he was having fun with that after the game. Just loved how he went out and executed and prepared for this game. I always admire the heck out of him and how hard he works regardless of the situation." And that's how he didn't take a chance to talk freely about it. The HC just diplomatically concluded his take on Hurts' comments. All right, the internal skirmish does not have any end, and HC and QB are both aware of it. But after Jalen Hurts' fantastic performance, Philadelphia fans must be extremely excited to see their favorite team win. Jalen Hurts bucked decades of history just by getting back to the Super Bowl after losing his first trip there as a starting quarterback. Now he will try to become the 4th quarterback to win the NFL's ultimate prize as a starting quarterback after losing his first Super Bowl start. Hurts came close 2 years ago when Philadelphia lost 38-35 to Kansas City in Glendale, Arizona. With a win next week in New Orleans, Hurts would become the first quarterback since John Elway 27 years ago to win a Super Bowl as a starter after losing in his first trip. Out of the 36 starting quarterbacks who lost their Super Bowl debuts, the only ones to end up on the victory stage as a starter are Kansas City's Len Dawson, who lost Super Bowl I and then won it 3 years later, and Miami's Bob Grease, who followed a loss in Super Bowl VI with a win the following year. Just getting back to this stage is unusual for Hurts, who ended a string of 19 straight QBs who failed to return to the Super Bowl after losing their first trip as a starter. The last to get back was Buffalo's Jim Kelly, who lost 4 straight trips in the 1990-93 seasons. Hurts again will face Patrick Mahomes, who will tie Elway for the second most Super Bowl starts at quarterback with his 5th next week, trailing only Tom Brady's 10. With a win, Mahomes would join Brady, 6, Terry Bradshaw, 4, and Joe Montana, 4, as the only QBs with 4 rings. Mahomes will make his 5th Super Bowl start. As a small group of QBs has had a grip on the AFC's Super Bowl berths. In the last 22 seasons, only 6 AFC QBs have started a Super Bowl, with Brady leading the way with 8, Peyton Manning having 4, and Ben Roethlisberger 3. Joe Flacco and Joe Burrow each have 1 since the start of the 2003 season. It has been an entirely different case in the NFC, with 19 quarterbacks combining for the 22 starts, including 1 for Brady with Tampa Bay. Hurts joins Russell Wilson and Eli Manning as the only quarterbacks to start 2 Super Bowls for an NFC team since the start of the 2003 season. The Eagles tied an NFL playoff record with 7 touchdown runs in the NFC title game win over Washington, matching the mark Chicago set against Washington in the 1940 NFL title game. Hurts scored on 3 of the TD runs, with Saquon Barkley adding 3 more, including his record 7th touchdown run of at least 60 yards this season. The only other teammates to run for 3 touchdowns each in a regular season or playoff game since at least 1940 came when Priest Holmes, 4, and Derek Blaylock, 3, did it for Kansas City in a 56-10 win over Atlanta on Octagon, 24-2004. The Eagles also set a record for most yards rushing in a season with 3,531 in the regular season and playoffs. The mark before this season was 3,535 by Miami in its perfect 17-0 season in 1972. Baltimore also eclipsed that mark with 3,764 yards rushing. The Eagles have a chance to break their own record for most touchdown runs in a season. They have 39 heading into the Super Bowl, 3 shy of the mark they set in the 2022 season. Josh Allen once again came out on the short end of a playoff matchup against Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Allen is the first quarterback ever to lose 4 postseason starts against another QB, although little of the blame should be pointed in his direction. Allen has a 100.2 passer rating with 11 combined touchdown runs and passes and just 1 turnover in 4 playoff starts against the Chiefs. Allen's 101.5 career passer rating in the playoffs ranks 4th best among the 74 quarterbacks with at least 6 playoff starts in the Super Bowl era, trailing only Super Bowl winners Mahomes, 105.6, Kurt Warner, 102.8, and Matthew Stafford, 102.3. Allen's 7 career playoff wins as a starter are the most for any QB who hasn't made the Super Bowl. The Bills became the first team to win at least 11 games in 5 straight seasons without reaching a Super Bowl, topping the previous mark of 4 held by San Francisco, 1995-98, and Philadelphia, 2003. The coaching carousel is nearly filled, with the New Orleans Saints the only team out of the 7 that fired their head coach that hasn't found a replacement. The new batch features 4 coordinators who got promoted into their first head coaching jobs and 2 retreads, with former Tennessee coach Mike Vrabel getting the nod in New England and Pete Carroll getting hired in Las Vegas after previous stints with the Jets, Patriots, and Seahawks. Carroll joins Bill Parcells and Marty Schottenheimer as the only coaches since 1940 who have had non-interim stints with 4 franchises. The addition of Carroll sets up a power-packed roster of coaches in the division, led by Kansas City's Andy Reid, who has 301 career wins and is going for his 4th career Super Bowl title. Denver's Sean Payton, 179 wins, and Carroll, 181, have combined for 360 additional wins, with both winning Super Bowl titles. Jim Harbaugh of the Chargers has a .685 winning percentage in 5 seasons as an NFL head coach, with 1 Super Bowl trip and a college national championship. He will try to join Carroll, Jimmy Johnson, and Barry Switzer as the only coaches to win a title in both college and the pros. The AFC West will be the first division to start a season with every head coach having previously been to a Super Bowl. The 1999 NFC West came close, with Atlanta's Dan Reeves, Carolina's George Seifert, New Orleans' Mike Ditka, and St. Louis's Dick Vermeil all having gone, with San Francisco's Steve Mariucci the outlier. Only two divisions didn't have any coaching changes, with the NFC West and AFC North remaining stable. That's nothing new for the AFC North, which last had a coaching change following the 2019 season when Cleveland hired Kevin Stefanski to replace Freddie Kitchens. Next season will mark the sixth straight with the same four head coaches for the four teams. That's the longest stretch ever without a coaching change, topping the four straight seasons for the NFC Central in 1978-81 and the NFC West from 2019-22. Thanks to a masterful performance from quarterback Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles are heading back to the Super Bowl. Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns and passed for another as the Eagles demolished the Washington Commanders 55-23 in the NFC Championship game, setting up a rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs on February 9 in Super Bowl 59. The Eagles, who finished the regular season with a 14-3 record, will be looking for the second Super Bowl victory in franchise history. Their first Super Bowl win came 7 years ago, when quarterback Nick Foles and coach Doug Peterson led the 2017 Eagles to a 41-33 defeat of the New England Patriots. Jalen Hurts is currently in his 5th NFL season after being selected by the Eagles in the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. He took over as the team's starting quarterback in 2021 and led Philadelphia to the Super Bowl the following season. Hurts' one previous appearance in the Super Bowl came in Philadelphia's dramatic 38-35 loss to Kansas City in Super Bowl 57. Jalen Hurts takes an 0-1 record into his second career appearance in the Super Bowl. However, Hurts performed admirably in the loss to the Chiefs. He led the Eagles to a game-tying touchdown with 5:15 to play in regulation, taking it in himself from 2 yards out for his third rushing TD of the game, and then running it in for the 2-point conversion that knotted the game at 35. Hurts finished the game with 70 rushing yards on 15 carries. He also completed 27 of 38 passes for 304 yards and another touchdown, a 45-yard bomb to wide receiver A.J. Brown that put Philly ahead 14-7 early in the second quarter. He also had one fumble, which was returned by Chiefs linebacker Nick Bolton for a 36-yard touchdown.